They say Machiavelli wrote about power, but that is a lie. What he really wrote about was human nature, stripped of illusion, stripped of morality, stripped of everything except the truth most people fear to acknowledge. His teachings were never meant for the public. They were meant for those who understood that power is not earned by goodness, but by clarity, and that the world is not a battlefield between right and wrong, but between the perceptive and the blind. Machiavelli was born during a time when Florence looked like a masterpiece on the surface, but rotted beneath. The city was a theater of deception. Alliances were temporary, friendships were weapons, enemies wore the face of friends, and Machiavelli, still a young diplomat, watched it all with a disturbing level of fascination. Every lie, every betrayal, every sudden shift of loyalty, he wrote it down, not as a moral lesson, but as a clue to understanding what people truly want when their masks fall off. One night, after watching a political ally abandon him in exchange for favor with a rival family, Machiavelli wrote a line that still shakes the world today. Men forget the death of their father more quickly than the loss of their inheritance. It wasn't cruelty, it was observation. Someone who loses money immediately feels the pain. Someone who loses a loved one slowly rebuilds. Machiavelli noticed the instinct humans try hardest to hide, that self-interest always outweighs virtue, and this realization became the foundation of his forbidden teachings. But the true danger of Machiavelli wasn't his cynicism, it was his honesty. In an era where everyone pretended to be guided by God or honor or righteousness, he dared to say no. People are ruled by fear, desire, and necessity, and nothing terrified his contemporaries more than the exposure of their motives. Imagine a world where leaders wanted to be seen as heroic. Machiavelli whispered to them that fear lasts longer than love, not because fear is cruel, but because fear is predictable. Love wanders, love changes, love can be broken. Fear, however, is consistent. It creates obedience where affection cannot. And this truth, though uncomfortable, explains the behavior of every empire that ever existed, even today. His most controversial teaching, however, was not about cruelty. It was about perception. Machiavelli said that the appearance of virtue is more important than virtue itself. A leader does not need to be just. He only needs people to believe that he is just. Morality, he argued, was a costume, a useful illusion, a tool of governance. Those who controlled appearances controlled the hearts of the people. This message was explosive. It threatened rulers who survived by pretending to be righteous. It exposed priests who claimed heavenly authority. It undermined kings who hid their brutality behind ceremonies and rituals. Machiavelli stripped away the stage decorations and showed the world the backstage, the shadows, the manipulation, the choreography of power. His teachings were so dangerous that he was imprisoned, tortured, and exiled. And yet, in exile, broken, humiliated, and forgotten, he wrote his masterpiece. A book disguised as advice for a prince, but in reality, a secret manual on how to understand the entire human race. A guide not just for rulers, but for anyone who wanted to see the world with brutal clarity. He explained why people obey, why they betray, why they follow charismatic leaders even when those leaders destroy them, why fear is more dependable than gratitude, why promises are tools, not truths, why morality is flexible, why conflict is a natural state, and why those who understand human nature always rise above those who cling to fragile ideals. But the most forbidden teaching of all was his final revelation. People do not want freedom. They want stability. They want direction. They want someone to blame, someone to fear, someone to admire, someone to follow. Human beings do not crave liberty, they crave certainty. And those who offer certainty, even if through illusion, gain power effortlessly. This is why Machiavelli remains feared. His teachings expose the hidden machinery of society. They reveal that manipulation is not an anomaly. It is the structure. Morality is not the foundation of leadership. It is the mask leaders wear to keep the crowd asleep. This book, the one burned, censored, banned, condemned, was never meant to empower tyrants. It was meant to open the eyes of those who dare to see past the surface. It was meant for those who understand that the world is not divided into good and evil, but into wolves and sheep, into those who act and those who are acted upon. History tried to silence Machiavelli, but his words survived, because the truth always survives. You can ignore it, fear it, even hate it, but you cannot escape it. Every time a leader rises, every time a nation falls, every time a crowd cheers or panics or surrenders, Machiavelli whispers the same message. Human nature never changes. Only the masks do. And once you understand his forbidden teachings, you will never see the world the same way again.